The media tends to march in lockstep with the government. It tends to take its cues from the government. It tends to mobilize its resources to showcase what the government says is true, even when later it turns out not to be true, not to be true, not to be true.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order.
It's Cyber Monday, a day on the retail calendar that can be enjoyed from a desk or the couch.
Enjoyed from a desk or a couch.
Enjoyed from a desk or maybe the couch.
Enjoyed from a desk or the couch.
Enjoyed from the desk or even the couch.
From a desk or the couch.
Enjoyed from a desk
or a couch.
From a desk
or the couch.
From a desk or the couch. Or wherever you like, as long as you got internet.
I scream, you scream. You know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest. I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, and you know the rest. I scream, you scream.
I scream, you scream. Well, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, well, you know the rest.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some of the spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Look, guys, obviously this is no coincidence. So the question remains, where are all these news stations getting their scripts from? Well, there are affiliate news services that supply packages and scripts to hundreds of stations around the country. Stations then have their anchors read the canned story with the generic script. But consider the implications of this kind of reporting for 1 second. Say it wasn't an Easter bunny, and rather the story being mindlessly regurgitated was about a virus, a terrorist attack, or a report on war casualty counts. People who watch the news tend to trust this information that then influences their perception and decisions. So for these anchors to ask no questions, do no fact-checking, and hold no differing interpretation of the news they're delivering is not only absurd, it's downright dangerous.
Issues out there that has people asking questions is Robbie Parker, who reportedly lost one of his daughters. When you watch the footage, I know grieving parents do strange things, but it looks like he's saying, okay, do I read off the card? He's laughing, and then he goes over and starts basically breaking down and crying.
He was there, and they're getting ready to come to the microphone, so we'll listen in. Okay. Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting here in Connecticut.
I haven't touched this, okay? All I know is they're seizing on it. They staged Fast and Furious. The head of Gun Owners of America has said on my own show, Larry Pratt, that if they stage Fast and Furious to kill thousands, our government, to blame the Second Amendment, they stage anything.
Because CNN put all their news eggs in the Jodi Arias basket, they were forced to cover other stories, including another good crime drama, the kidnappings in Cleveland, from their current locations. Ashley Banfield from a parking lot in Phoenix, reporting via satellite with Nancy Grace, who seemed to be in the same parking lot in Phoenix. I'm basing that, of course, on the fact that the cars that are passing by Ashley Banfield's location box also appear to be passing directly into Nancy Grace's box.
America has its fair share of protests and political dissent to be dealing with. Instead of keeping an eye on the ball, the country's mass media machine has turned to protests in Russia and dropped the ball on reporting the facts.
Thousands of protesters have gathered in Moscow, lashing out against Prime Minister Vladimir Putin and his ruling United Russia Party.
The only problem is that this video is not from Russia. Fox News Channel aired video of fires and chaos in Athens, convincing viewers that this mayhem is playing out in Moscow.
We practiced to this. Not more than 3 weeks ago, we took every one of our officers, our patrol officers, and a couple of hundred officers from the Los Angeles Police Department, and we practiced the exact scenario that played out today.
You're looking at live footage right now. You can see police officers clearly escorting people to safety, fire patrol on the scene. This, we are told, happened about 25 minutes ago.
Everybody dropped instantly and started crawling.
With the shooter, and it sounded, by the way, I think I heard a total of maybe 8 or 10 shots fired.
I was at the very back of the line, and the guy who was shooting was right coming up, I guess, right there.
Side
Correct.
of it.
Correct.
And in fact, it happened on the lower level.
Correct.
Not level 2.
Correct.
Correct. Baggage claim rather than.
Yes,
okay,
it was. Everybody just dropped to the ground and started, crawling along. Just staying as low as possible.
I went up the escalator, and I was at the very back of a big line for the secondary checking area, and
crawling across the ground really quickly to the tarmac, running across tarmac. The cops come to me, thinking I'm maybe the guy.
I didn't know the rest of her family. I just knew her from hanging out sometimes.
Huge explosion while we were having lunch, and everybody ran for the doors and windows. And
I just remember seeing him hurtle over the pews, hurtle over people, and run towards us.
Last night, Jon Stewart did an expose of Fox News' coverage of that anti-healthcare reform rally last week here in Washington. Let's watch it.
Change was in the air, and Fox News was there to cover it.
People didn't just come to hear speakers. They then pivoted, fanned out, went into the Capitol, went into the office buildings, were very polite, went from door to door to door, knocked on the doors. We handed out actual pages from the bill.
I'm sorry, can we get back? I apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt. That was weird. Because when that clip started, it was a clear fall day in Washington, D.C. Not a cloud in the sky, the leaves have changed. It's well attended with sparse. All of a sudden, the trees turn green again, and it's cloudy, and it looks like thousands and thousands of more people arrive. If I didn't know any better, I would think they just put 2 different days together and acted like they didn't. Where have I seen that last footage before?
This is just a fraction. There are people meeting all across the country. This is just in Washington, D.C.
Wow, that was actually from Glenn Beck's 9/12 rally 2 months ago, his much bigger 9/12 rally. It seems Sean Hannity used footage of a bigger crowd from a totally different event to make last week's GOP healthcare rally appear more heavily attended.
It was a beautiful sight to see.
Notice, and by the way, in the middle of the day on Thursday.
Yeah, or Saturday. 2 months ago, at a completely different rally.
From time to time, we've been tempted to believe that society has become too complex to be managed by self-rule, that government by an elite group is superior to government for, by, and of the people. In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.